Hey everybody, and welcome back to another lecture with Coding with Roby. And in this lecture, we're going to be installing Git on a Windows PC. So if you're on a Mac OS, feel free to jump to the next video where we go over how to install Git on a Mac OS. But if you have a Windows PC, you're in the right place. So start by jumping on Google or your favorite search engine and typing in Git. The very first response should be the correct website of https://git-scm.com and click the link. This is when we get brought to the Git homepage. So Git is a free and open source distributed version control system designed to handle everything from small to large projects with speed and efficiency. And Git is easy to learn with tiny footprints with lightning fast performance. It has a couple of different areas of information. I'm going to come over here to this little computer where it says the latest source release of 2.34.1, and this is the most recent release as of 2001. So if you are coming in at a later version, that is totally fine, and we can just move forward from there. But for now, let's click Download for Windows. It's going to bring you to this Download for Windows page where you can click here to get the latest for 64-bit. So we have our 64-bit and 32-bit based on your computer. You're either going to be clicking the 32 or the 64-bit, and I have a 64-bit. So I'm going to say click here to download. And I'm on Google Chrome, so once it got downloaded, it's going to be popping up right here, and I'm just going to click this execution. After I clicked execute, I'm going to get to the GNU General Public License. I'm going to just click next. Here we get to choose our path for the Git installation. I'm going to leave the default path, which is C drive program files Git. Feel free to change this to wherever you want to install Git, but I'm going to leave it at the default location. And then next. Here we can select the components that we want to be installed. We have our Windows Explorer integration with Git Bash and Git GUI. I'm going to uncheck this as we do not need this for this tutorial, where we're going to be using all of our Git from the command prompt either within our PC or from within our IDE. Here we get to just click a Start Menu folder. I'm going to leave it as the default of Git. Now we get to choose our default editor using Git. Vim or Vim is a editor. While powerful, can be hard to use. Its user interface is unintuitive and its key bindings are awkward. But we're going to leave this as the default as Git's default editor because we can still use it within our command prompt. Now adjusting the name of the initial branch in our new repositories. So here we can use let Git decide if we want to use our branch as master, or we can use this override the default branch name for new repositories, where it says it's new and many teams are already renamed their default branches. From common choices are main, trunk, and development. I'm going to leave it as the default for now. Here, adjusting your path environment. How would you like to use Git from the command line? There's a couple different options. I'm going to use it as the recommended, which is Git from the command line and also from third-party softwares. Choosing the SSH executable. So which secure shell client program would you like Git to use? Again, I'm just going to use the bundled OpenSSH. We don't necessarily need to use the external OpenSSH. It's a new feature, but let's go ahead and move forward with the default option. Choosing HTTPS transport backend. Which SSL/TLS library would you like Git to use for the HTTPS connections? Again, just move forward with the default OpenSSL library. Configuring the line ending conversions. How should Git treat line endings in text files? Check out Windows style commit Unix style line endings. Let's move forward with the default option. We don't necessarily need to use checkout as is. Configuring the terminal emulator to use the Git bash. Which terminal emulator do you want to use for your Git bash? Again, let's move forward with the default option of use min-tty, the default terminal of MSYS2. Choose the default behavior of git pull. What should git pull do by default? And now we're starting to dive more into actions and commands of Git. We want the default to be a fast forward or merge. We don't necessarily want to do a rebase or only ever fast forward. We want to do the fast forward or merge. Choose a credential helper. We're going to use the Git credential manager. So when we start using Git, we need to create credentials, and we're going to do this just from the Git credential manager. Configuring extra options. So I'm going to leave this enabled, which is the enable file system caching. File system data will be read in bulk and cached in memory for certain operations. I'm going to use this as it provides a significant performance boost. Experimental options, we don't necessarily need to do any of this. We're going to be doing everything from our command prompt or terminal. And now the next option is install. This will take a few seconds to install Git on your computer. And here, completing the Git setup wizard is complete. We can finish to exit setup and launch Git bash and view release notes. I'm going to click and uncheck both options before clicking finish. And now here, I'm going to open up our command prompt. So I'm going to click our Windows button and then type in command prompt. Once the command prompt opens, I'm going to verify we have Git by typing in Git and then -- version. Here we can see that the Git version of 2.34.1.windows.1 is installed on our machine. This is exactly what we need to be able to move forward and start using Git in our current projects. Now, in the next lecture, we're going to start creating our own folder and actually go over some of the Git commands. But for this lecture of installing Git on a Windows machine, we are complete, and I will see you in the next video.